Hey there and welcome. You've probably heard the term artificial intelligence, or AI, and it might sound like something from a far-off future. But the thing is, it's already here, and it's a huge part of our world. It's helping us navigate through traffic, suggesting what movie we should watch next, and a whole lot more. So, in the next few minutes, we're going to break it all down and demystify AI in a way that, hopefully, everyone can understand. Let's dive in. All right, so here's the game plan for our journey today. First, we'll look at how AI is probably already in your daily life. Then, we'll clear up some of those confusing buzzwords you hear all the time. After that, we'll get into how a machine actually learns, see the cool brain-inspired tech that makes it all possible, explore the amazing things it can now create, and finally, we'll wrap up by talking about why this all matters so much. Okay, let's kick things off with something familiar. You really don't need to be a tech wizard to be using AI. In fact, I'd bet that if you've used a phone or shopped online today, you've already bumped into it. I mean, really think about it. You've finished watching a show on a streaming service, and bam, almost instantly it suggests something else that's right up your alley. How on earth does it do that? Is that just a lucky guess? Or is there something, smarter going on behind the scenes? Well, it's not a lucky guess at all. The answer, of course, is AI. It's the engine that powers those scarily accurate recommendations. It's also that silent guardian that keeps your email inbox from overflowing with spam. When you ask a virtual assistant for the weather, or your bank sends you an alert about a weird purchase, that's AI. And yep, when your map app magically finds a way around a traffic jam, you guessed it, that's AI too. It's just quietly humming along in the background of our lives. Okay, so this is where things can get a little confusing. You hear all these buzzwords thrown around. AI, machine learning, deep learning. People often use them like they're the same thing, but they're not. So let's take a second to untangle them and see how they actually fit together. First up, we have artificial intelligence, AI. The easiest way to think about AI is it's the big umbrella. It's the whole entire field. It covers any attempt to make a machine that can show any kind of human-like intelligence, whether that's playing a game of chess or understanding what you're saying. Now, tucked under that big AI umbrella is machine learning. This is the main way we create AI today. And this is the really cool part. Instead of a human programmer trying to write a rule for every single possible thing that could happen, we just let the machine learn from examples. We feed it tons and tons of data, and it starts to figure out the patterns all by itself. So this picture really helps it click, right? You've got AI as the big circle. Machine learning is a smaller circle inside of that. It's a type of AI. But if we go one level deeper, we get to the real powerhouse. And that's deep learning. Think of this as the super-powered engine inside machine learning. It's a special kind of machine learning, and its secret sauce? It's that the whole thing is kind of inspired by the web of neurons in our own brains. This structure allows it to learn way more complex stuff, and it's behind almost all of the big AI breakthroughs you hear about today. All right, so we keep saying that machines learn, but what does that actually look like? How do you train a computer? Well, it might sound super complicated, but the basic idea is actually something we can all grasp. Okay, imagine you want to teach a computer what a cat is. At the very beginning, it has no clue. It's just making random guesses. Then you start showing it pictures, literally millions of them. And for each one, you tell it, yep, that's a cat, or nope, not a cat. Every time it gets one wrong, it makes a tiny adjustment to its internal wiring. And every time it gets one right, it strengthens the connections that led to that right answer. You just repeat that process over and over and over again, and eventually it starts to recognize the patterns for itself. The pointy ears, the whiskers, the tail. It learns what cat looks like. It's pretty amazing how much this has changed. Back in the day, with the older methods of machine learning, humans had to do most of the heavy lifting. If you wanted to teach a machine to find a dog in a photo, you had to manually tell it exactly what to look for, like look for a long snout or look for a floppy ear. You had to be an expert just to tell the computer where to start. It was a ton of work. But this is why deep learning is such a big deal. You don't have to do any of that. You just show it pictures of dogs. It figures out what's important all by itself, right from the pixels. It learns to see the dogness of a dog on its own, just like we do. So what's the magic here? How does deep learning pull this off? How can it just see things? Well, it comes down to something called an artificial neural network. And that's basically, a brain for the machine. Just for a second, think about how our own brains work.
They're made of billions of tiny cells called neurons. Each one is like a tiny little decision maker. It gets some information, decides if it's important enough, and if it is, zap, it passes a signal to the next neuron. It's that simple idea repeated billions of times that lets us think and learn.
So brilliant people basically said, hey, what if we built a digital version of that? In an artificial neural network, these digital neurons are arranged in layers. The first layer might just learn to see simple things, like a line or a spot of color. The next layer takes that info and learns to recognize, say, a curve or an eye. And the layer after that puts those pieces together to see a face. It's like building with Legos, but with information. The learning is just the process of strengthening the connections between the right pieces.
Okay, so we've seen how AI can understand and analyze stuff, recognizing cats, spotting weird bank charges, but that's only half the story. The really mind-blowing stuff happening right now isn't just about analyzing. It's about creating.
And that brings us to generative AI, and it's exactly what it sounds like. Basically, this is AI that doesn't just label stuff that already exists, it can make totally new things from scratch. It learns the rules and the patterns, and then it uses them to create something original. Let me show you a really cool example of this. So you start with a totally normal photo. In this case, it's a very serious-looking dog wearing glasses. And now look at this. With just a simple command, a generative AI can completely reimagine that photo. Now, it didn't just slap a filter on it. The AI actually understood the style of a famous artist and then repainted our dog in that style. That is pure creation, something we used to think only humans could do. And it's not just pictures. This stuff is everywhere now. Struggling to write an email? Generative AI can draft one for you. It can write poetry, it can write computer code, compose brand new music, and even create realistic voices from nothing but text. The list of what it can do is growing like every single day. Okay, so let's zoom out for a second because this is really the most important part. AI isn't just another cool app on your phone. What we're talking about here is a massive, fundamental shift in technology. There's a famous AI pioneer named Andrew Ng, and he had the perfect analogy for this. He said, about a century ago, we started to electrify the world. Now, AI is poised to start an equally large transformation on many industries. Think about that. When electricity came along, it changed everything. And he's saying AI is going to be just as big of a deal. So this new electricity isn't some far-off future thing. It's here, right now. And that leaves us with a really big question for all of us. How are we going to choose to use it? What do we want to build with it? It's definitely something to think about. Thanks so much for joining me today.